Alright guys, TacticalRab here today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Seattle Surge, champions of Major 3, would you believe it? The other big storyline though, of course, Atlanta FaZe, another Grand Finals, another failure to convert it into a championship victory. What is going wrong for them in these Grand Final situations? Do they have a mental block in finals? Is there some sort of ice issue that's going on this season? Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. They've got 2 more events this year to break the curse, it seems. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty, of course, to dive into today. So much reaction to what was an unbelievable turn of events last night when Seattle Surge, after all the shambles of that organization the last couple of years, to have turned it around the way they have. Not just, of course, Phoenix the coach, Novus the general manager, kind of helping to put this team together, but of course the team and the players themselves. We theorized when this team was first formed. I didn't think this team would be that great initially as soon as the year begins. I thought it was going to take a bit of time for these guys to get together, but I think most people thought that as time progressed, these guys could be a very serious threat to the league. It's just the funny thing is that they started off so well. They started off the Kickoff Classic, they made the Grand Finals, started off Stage 1 so well, then when they kind of fell into that bit of a slump really, then everyone thought, okay, hang on a second, maybe this team isn't it and it needs to change. But if they hadn't started off the season so well, I think that people have still been confident in their progression. That's pretty much exactly what they've done as we've kind of got to the business end of the season. First Australian with a chip, that being Pred. Look, we knew this guy was going to be good. We heard all the talk about him. He was effectively Hydra came over from France. Pred was considered to be the same type of guy over there, of course, from Australia, and he's delivered on what he was expected to deliver. He was the MVP as well by far, I think, of the Grand Final specifically. The overall tournament, I think you can certainly argue Mack was phenomenal, as was Sib, and even Accuracy had a really great tournament as well. But yeah, Pred in the finals here, he was the force to be reckoned with. I remember interviewing Accuracy before maybe the kickoff or something, that he really felt when this team was being formed that Pred is just in a kind of pressure situation, he's actually going to thrive more than he's going to crumble. So despite being a rookie, not having too many lands under his belt, Accuracy felt from the first second he teamed with this guy, or even speaking to him and kind of interviewing him effectively before they decided to team with him, that this guy in Grand Finals, when the pressure's on, is going to be able to deliver. He did exactly that against Atlanta FaZe yesterday. He probably are now still the best team in the world when they're not in Grand Finals and when they're not playing OpTic Texas. The standings are kind of crazy. We'll look at them, of course, later on today. Now, as Pred says, only just getting started, right? So we're sitting here thinking, look, this is number 1, of many potentially. We'll see how it goes for them. But yeah, this team right now is certainly kicking up towards the end of the year. The ice factor, the kind of, what they do in all the game modes right now, very impressive over the entirety of this weekend, actually. Their control especially was lights out the entirety of this stage. Winning both of them in the Grand Finals was critical to them winning that series. Their Search and Destroy was great as well. Sib, of course, after being the FaZe, or the substitute for FaZe, the last couple of years, sitting there on the bench effectively, now gets a chance on a proper team and actually can deliver the goods as well here. This guy honestly is ice cold. This guy never reacts or anything. It kind of reminds me of Jerd in a way back in the day. He do some crazy clutch. He just sits there, does the fist bumps, gets ready for the next rounds. Octane was kind of surprised it wasn't Mack winning the MVP. I think he had some phenomenal moments over the weekend, but Pred in the Grand Finals, I think, was certainly the force to be reckoned with on that side. And even Mack had a few words to say, right? The fact that effectively Ake said, look, it's easy for Seattle when they play a team like Florida, but they're going to get bodied by FaZe, 3-0 by them in the winners finals, and from there on out. And of course, Mack was kind of saying, look, that didn't turn out to be the case. It did it this time around at the very least. And as Accuracy says, Major 3 champions, the feeling is what I live for. Incredible the players that have won this year, right? You think about the fact that Crimsix, of course, winning the Prime Classic, if you want to, obviously it counts to some degree. Scump winning Major 1, Slasher winning Major 2 with Los Angeles, Guerrillas now Accuracy winning Major 3. These guys are roommates, I believe, and I'm pretty sure Slasher said after Major 2, okay, we need to get Accuracy 1 now after kind of the veterans of one of these events so far this year. Time for Accuracy to get on the board. He does exactly that here at Major 3. So great to see the veterans turning up and definitely showing they've still got some, significant life left in the tank. These are the final stats. I couldn't look at this last night because they love, whenever a team wins a Grand Finals or whatever, they love just not bringing the stats up for the final map, so it takes a little bit while to get on top of them. But yeah, Sim and Pred, 1.11, 1.24. Pred, 170 kills, 173 kills over the Grand Finals, 20k damage. This might be the biggest Grand Finals numbers I've kind of ever seen, actually. That's just an absurd amount of kills over the course of this one. But yeah, rags to riches, Seattle Surge Major 3 champions. But of course, the team they beat on the other side of the stage, the Atlanta FaZe, that's kind of where some of the key questions are coming around. There was, of course, a lot of praise being poured on the Seattle guys for understandable reasons, the fact that Accuracy is still competing at this level and is still being able to win championships after many people have said for a couple of years now, okay, this guy's washed, he's got to go, he's had enough effectively. The team around him obviously believed in him, he performed well individually and certainly did enough to help the rest of the team become what they can be, and even as Formal says, here are your, well-deserved flowers. Congrats to the rest of the guys as well. So lots of praise for Accuracy and the rest of the guys, of course, very much understandably, but also I think, credit is due to the general manager and the coach behind the scenes that have actually made this team what it has been, especially after what Seattle were doing the last couple of years. And in fairness, they looked shocking at the Prime, right? This is what's so remarkable to me. They lost a Silly and Fire 40s team at at the Pro-Am and went out in groups there. Everyone was like, okay, this team actually might be chalked. Do they have to change something? Like, maybe the core isn't going to work. Maybe accuracy's got to go. But, accuracy seemingly has just turned up. And, Vanguard obviously continues to do Vanguard things. And then from the Seattle perspective, kind of tough for the likes of Octane, Joey Nubsy, that, Octane leaves, of course, goes to Los Angeles Thieves. That team has now, of course, failed to win an event so far. And a lot of the former players on Los Angeles Thieves, for example, the likes of Huke and Slasher from last season, now have won an event so far this year. And then you can also look at Seattle Surge as an organization, where Octane kind of is sitting there for a couple of years collecting the paycheck, and now, he leaves, they rebuild, and all of a sudden they're, a championship winning team. So, remarkable stuff. Wonder if Los Angeles Thieves, with this team, will ever get over the line, but I kind of doubt it with the current team before they are, proposing at the present time. And Accuracy says, you guys thought I was finished. Absolutely no way about it. Now, of course, we've got to talk about the whole FaZe situation here, right? Because back in 2019, Simp and aBeZy, they won championships that year. We've got, of course, a lot of rookie seasons converting into tournament victories. Arcitys, Gunless, Prestinni back in 2017. I think aBeZy played some events in 2018, actually, in World War II. I'm not sure this necessarily counts, but Simp was for sure the case. Pharaoh, of course, rest in peace. Miracles, Crimsix 2013. This is a pretty impressive class of rookies that they've kind of won in their first season. I guess Kenny kind of considers as well, or maybe Priestahh as well to some degree. But, of course, Kenny played some tournaments before World War II. Always a little bit difficult to kind of, put these guys into boxes. But yeah, as Arcitys says from the FaZe side, played so terrible, so many maps were thrown. GG Seattle, they were the better team. So giving Seattle their flowers, as kind of formal said. But, Arcitys saying he played so terrible individually, so many maps thrown away. This, I think, was the key point, right? Because if they'd have won the winners finals and taken down Seattle in what seemed to be an unlosable series, it's 2-2 in the control, you're up 2-0 in the series, it's 15-4 in your favor in live count, and Seattle get 4 dead and get on the point and win the entire thing. And then they do pretty much the same comeback, crazy comeback, 80 points down in the Tuscan control next time around in map 4, and then they win the game 5. Like, if Seattle don't reverse sweep there, if FaZe close out that map and end up closing out the series 3-0, they would have taken so much confidence in the grand finals. I'm sure Seattle would have been kind of nervous playing them again if they did even get past Toronto in the losers finals, which is by no means guaranteed, because Seattle and Toronto is a different matchup. Like, Seattle seemed to match up rather well against FaZe. No guarantees they would have beaten Toronto, though, and if it had been Toronto in the grand finals against FaZe, I feel like FaZe probably would have won, because they just have their number, to be honest, the last couple of years. But by choking that series away, FaZe, they put themselves on the back foot, because yes, they come into the grand finals, there's no, map disadvantage they have. They do have to deal with the vetoes, though, right, and the fact that Seattle can just get Gavuto out of there, and of course, they did theoretically have some good maps for them, the Berlin Hardpoint, the Desert Siege, Church and Destroy that Seattle probably should have won, but FaZe won anyway. But they definitely put themselves on the back foot at that point. And even in the grand finals, there was a few maps they threw away. Of course, the Berlin control kind of stands out. That was a situation where, and even the 5, I think they're maybe about 5-4 in the Search and Destroy game 2 on Bacage. Seattle win that one. They win, of course, that crazy Berlin control that really they shouldn't have won either. And it's a couple of situations like that where they're massive swing games in the momentum of the series. And this is what kind of the guys on the flank last night, what an absolute lineup this was, were discussing on the matter, right? What is it with FaZe? Do they just not have the ice factor? Is there some sort of mental issue here in the grand finals? Because 3 grand finals at all 3 majors and failed to win a single one so far.
Well, yeah, we kicked off today with FaZe Seattle, right? That was the first series of the day. And listen, you want my honest opinion on that series? I feel like FaZe threw that one away bad. That was a bad series for them. That was one they should have closed out.
There was 10 seconds left. Seattle had 4 lives and FaZe had 13, and they choked. And
it was just a clean 4 dead.
It was a clean 4 dead. And that's all it takes in control. And then the hardpoint was even worse too. The hardpoint, they were up 80.
Yeah.
And they only needed 15 points.
I feel like that's FaZe's main problem this year is their ice. They haven't their ice isn't there. In other games, every time it got to those mixy moments, the last minute or 2 minutes of the game, they were the best. Nobody can touch them when it came to the icy parts, the clutch moments. Yeah. Now I feel like OpTic's been that team, or now Seattle. I just feel like they're struggling when it comes to those moments. What do you think it is?
I mean, from my point of view, in Cold War, they had guaranteed maps where 9 times out of 10 they were gonna win it.
Yeah. Bro, no, that was when FaZe choked the map 4 bad, and then it went to a map 5. Bro, it went to a map 5.
FaZe have been choking a lot of maps, man.
Yeah, they have been. They're
event, not rotating. There's too many hills. They don't rotate the hills.
They're not even pinching half the hills.
Yeah, you were talking about that. You said that they just like the flood.
Tuscan Hardpoint, they just they do it really well. Every time I've seen them do it, it works for them. So it's hard for me to question if it's like working for them.
Yeah.
But they just go to the front of hills together and they like make it work. But like I feel like they're the only team who's like choosing to do, like they're like choosing
willingly doing it, yeah.
like willingly to just never go around the back.
Yeah, they don't take like a lot of long routes. The Tuscan, they lost
Tuscan
two Tuscans today on P1 that nobody was taking routes.
Nobody took
Nobody.
routes.
Running out,
Nobody.
just trying to just gun them off the edges.
And they were up 30 points, only needing like 5 points to win.
Yeah.
Don't take routes to like go into the last P1.
Bro, that's a factor. When it gets to like those clutch moments, that's where people like lose their head.
It does seem like the FaZe guys are taking some confidence away from this, though. As I say, like GG's to Seattle and Toronto, of course, they had a pretty rough kind of qualifiers by all metrics. But I mean, still, they don't end up winning the entire thing. But they come a lot really close, right? They arguably, I think they probably feel like they should have won this one. And the Simp says, we're so close, we all feel it. Thanks for the support, he says. And even aBeZy kind of echoes what Arcitys says through a few maps this weekend, which stings right now. Happy with how the team improved in search. So that is the thing, right? It seems like, especially against a team like Seattle, where they just, when their backs are against the wall, they can deliver the goods. I think FaZe haven't quite got that this year. And it's kind of funny because going into the day, I think I predicted Toronto to win. But like I feel like predicting against FaZe in grand finals is just kind of a reasonable prediction at this point, right? Whoever they play in the grand finals, you can reasonably expect them to lose the series because I don't think Seattle played that well, to be honest. They played well, don't get me wrong, but they made a lot of mistakes this series and still won it here 5-3. So it must be getting frustrating for FaZe. And the thing is, it reminds me a lot of the Modern Warfare season for FaZe, right? Well, I think they were 2-5 in grand finals that season. They made 7 grand finals in Modern Warfare, only won 2 of them, and they lost to most teams they played in the grand finals, like to Florida, Dallas Empire, this type of stuff they would often lose to, even Toronto Ultra, if you guys remember the home series back in the day. This season, a similar story. They've played so many different teams in the grand finals, OpTic, LAG, and Seattle Surge. They've lost every single one of them. So can they turn it around? I'm sure they can. They know how to win. They've done it before. But I think maybe to some degree it's going to get in their heads, right? Because every time they're in a grand finals from now on, they're going to think, well, hang on a second here. Like, surely we've got to win this one. The pressure's going to be on. And maybe the pressure gets to them to some degree. The crowd not in their favor, and then they'll get to like a clutch situation, and then they'll fall short or, effectively choke these situations to a team like Seattle that seems to have the ice. So I think that's kind of the key factor for them. They're getting so close to being a winning team, but it's obviously not happened yet. But you do have to wonder whether it's effectively an inevitability that FaZe win one of these final 2 tournaments. It would feel almost kind of poetic in a way for FaZe if they choke, like, let's say they make every single major grand final, lose all of them, and then win champs or something. Like, that'd be kind of incredible. But of course, well, we've had 5 events so far this season. Of course, the kickoff, you might not really count it too much, but Toronto did win that one over Seattle in the grand finals. The prime was won by the New York Subliners. They're, of course, kind of frustrated that, that was the one that they decided to win. But yeah, the other majors won by OpTic, Los Angeles, Guerrillas, and Seattle Surge. 5 events so far this year, 5 different winners. I think this speaks to some degree to Vanguard. I think it speaks maybe slightly more so to the competition within the league right now. But the fact that FaZe have made 3 of these grand finals and failed to win a single one, like, it really does make you wonder. But it also makes you think that surely out of the next 2 events, they're going to win one of these, right? There's no way FaZe, the world champions from last year, can possibly go 7 events without a victory, you would think. But there's always still a very decent possibility they make grand finals and lose them further, right? Because I think the map pool discussion last year, they were just so ridiculous with their incredibly deep map pool. But because there's not that many maps in this game, there's not that many maps that they have to be good or bad at. So I feel like the map pool advantage they had last year, where they were constantly working on their apocalypse and their, raid and standoff search and destroys and stuff like this, actually really worked out in their favor in grand finals last year. This time a different story, and their search and destroy has also been, like, it was the control that let them down here. But so far this year, their search hasn't been great. We saw the KT Bedford drama a few days ago, and in grand finals, there's 4 search and destroys. Last year, given there was 4 search and destroys in a best of 9, like, they would barely ever lose, because it's so difficult to see them losing that many searches. This year, it's very possible. So I think they probably will take confidence once they kind of debrief about this tournament, but it could honestly start getting to them in future events. Now, the pressure's going to be there, right, because everyone knows these guys are grand finals chokers. Like, when they get to another one, if they do, then they're going to have that in the back of their minds. This I thought was kind of funny, actually, Slasher real quick, just kind of explaining his perspective on, why there's been 5 events, 5 different winners. Squad spawns are comedy, he reckons. And of course, one more major. Who's going to win in New York? The Subliners effectively have to win their home major here if they want to qualify for champs. We're going to look at that, of course, later on today. And just to mention this here, actually, one quick clip here from the grand finals, because it was a kind of incredible nade that Sid manages to hit all the way through the window across the map to take down Cellium to, prevent him from getting that 10-second scrap time, which maybe in the end had some sort of impact on this match. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, tells the YouTube gods it's a good video, others like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive quality community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.